Doug Pederson has made the decision early in the week, and he's made it known. It will be Jalen Hurts, not Carson Wentz, starting when the Eagles host the Saints on Sunday. Here's Doug Pederson when he was asked why he's going with Hurts over Wentz.
Quite honestly, we're not where we want to be as an offense. We know that. And you guys have heard me say this a lot around here in the 5 years that I've been here, and it's never about one person. And we won a championship a couple years ago with a group of men, and it's never about one guy. And so I looked at the whole thing and decided that for this week and to look for that spark again, to try to get the team over the hump, to try to get everybody playing better, right? And obviously the quarterback position is included there. So that's really the decision that I came to, moving forward this week.
Man, it feels like it was a long time coming. They gave Carson Wentz every chance to prove that he could find his way out of this mess, play his way out of this mess, make that one throw that it seems like he's been wanting to make that will justify every decision the Eagles have made that has pointed toward him, drafting him, keeping him, paying him. And he's out of time. That's it. They got to see what Jalen Hurts can do. Congratulations, Jalen Hurts. You get to do it against the Saints defense.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah. Whoopity-doo. You get to play the hottest defense in the game right now. Who's been kicking everybody's butt. But maybe that's part of the reasoning, too. Maybe that's where, Doug Pederson looks at it and goes, hey, the stuff we've been doing and, the offensive attack we've been approaching each game with and the way Carson went, we got no chance if we play that way in this football game. Well, listen, I've been saying this since Monday. I thought this was the right move. I do. One, it's just the pile-on effect for Carson Wentz right now. It's all everybody talks about, and especially in Philadelphia. I mean, Darius Slay gives up a touchdown on a 50-yard bomb. They go, well, Carson Wentz. It's everything. It's Carson Wentz's fault for everything. So there is that issue. We've talked about it. I do think he's beaten down by the pressure, the scrutiny, everything about that. And yes, the offense does stink, and maybe Jalen Hurts can give that spark, right? And just a little jump start to that Eagles offense and a schematical advantage to where the Saints go. We don't know exactly what we're going to see this week and the approach and everything like that. But I think Doug Pederson's right too, Mike, in saying, this is more than just one guy. I'm going to stand strong with that too. I know it hasn't been great with Carson Wentz, but man, I watched the film back of that game against Green Bay the other day. He didn't do anything it wasn't like, oh, wow, people were wide open. And the times he did get sacked, there was one maybe where you go, get the ball out of your hand. But other than that, you go, he didn't really even have time to get the ball out of his hand. It collapsed so fast and all of that. So, good for them to make the decision. And this is the last thing, Mike, sorry. With Jalen Hurts, okay. Yeah, you get the schematical advantage. Maybe it gives you the juice for the team. Maybe it all goes good and great. But if it doesn't and it fails, then you could just tell everybody in Philadelphia to shut up, and now we're going back to Carson Wentz, and look, this guy's not ready yet. It doesn't mean he's done forever, but he's not ready. So I think it does a number of good things for the Eagles right now as far as making that move.
Yeah, to the extent that Carson Wentz's confidence was shaken by the decision to pick Jalen Hurts because there's a concern that he's going to be supplanted at some point by Hurts, maybe the benefit is go ahead and do it. And if Hurts fails, maybe Wentz gets back some of his confidence. If Hurts thrives, then he's the guy. It's kind of a no-lose outcome when you're in a no-win situation if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. There are questions, though, about what the plans are going forward for Wentz. That was an exchange that happened yesterday when Doug Pederson met with reporters. Let's hear it.
In the big picture here, what is the plan with Carson Wentz? Do you see him as a quarterback who get back to that elite level that we know he can play at?
I do, and I know he will. And I still have a lot of belief and a lot of faith and trust in Carson. And as I've said, this is not about one guy. We have a lot of things to fix offensively, but I do believe that Carson will get himself back to that championship level.
Yeah, that's what you have to say.
Yeah.
Well, what else are you going to say? What else are you going to say? Because you're either keeping him or you're going to try to trade him. Either way, you want to boost him because if you are going to try to move him, you want other teams to believe what you're saying. And this really is a strange window for Carson Wentz, this annual December 8 to December 10 window. Let's go down memory lane here briefly. December 10 of 2017 is when he tore the ACL in a game at the Los Angeles Rams. December 9 of 2018 is when he suffered the back injury that ended his season early. And now December 8, 2020, he's benched for Jalen Hurts. So seasons going off the rails for Carson Wentz 3 of the last 4 years. The only difference is last year is when they were 5-7, and he rose up and carried a bunch of no-names to the playoffs, which made it harder for him to placate people this year because the most recent memory is Carson Wentz was able to do it with no help in 2019.
Yeah, well, I mean, yes, that was the greatness of Carson Wentz. And then, again, of course, the year they won the Super Bowl, he could have easily been the MVP of football that year. So it's been, yes, up and down. It's about as up and down as I can remember with like a young quarterback or anything like that. And that's why, Mike, as this has happened and you think about this more over the last week, I just go the Jalen Hurts pick at the second round was one of the dumbest picks of last year's draft. It's just dumb. I mean, you really have – it made no sense to really help your football team out. It makes no sense, and you traded picks to draft a quarterback at number 2, and you've paid him all this money, and then he's already dealt enough with the injuries and the Nick Foles stuff, and is he the guy and all that. And then, hey, let's bring in another guy to question it now, so we can really question if he's the guy. And let's bring in a guy in from who played at Alabama and Oklahoma, so all the fans out there who know nothing, they'll still want to see him play because they're going to go, wait, he was at Alabama and Oklahoma, and he won, and so we need to play him as soon as Carson Wentz struggles. It made no sense organizationally, that pick. The more and more you think about it, anything about it, it made no sense, and the Eagles have nobody to blame but themselves for this situation they're in right now. And the pressure of Carson Wentz and the city and everything around him, that was done by the Eagles. It really is. They put themselves here. So
let me flip it around, though.
Yeah.
Let me flip it around.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw what happened with Aaron Rodgers after the Packers took a quarterback. We saw how he reacted.
Right.
The Packers traded up in round 1 to get Jordan Love.
Sure.
And yes, he wasn't happy about it, and we know he wasn't happy about it. Brett Favre was his surrogate to the media early on to make it clear he wasn't happy. But when it was time to show up and play, he channeled that into something positive. And, Chris, we've talked about this in different contexts, but I look at it this way. If Carson Wentz can't handle having Jalen Hurts as his backup, if he can't handle that, can he really handle championship caliber football? Can he handle championship caliber pressure? Can he handle the expectations that are going to be foisted upon him going into 2020, 21, 22? If he can't handle having Jalen Hurts there, what can he handle? And that's where I'm concerned. Maybe the idea was let's apply a little heat and see what happens.
Well, I mean, was it not hot enough last year when they were 5-7 and he had to carry the whole organization?
No.
Why? That wasn't pressure?
Expectations were low.
I mean,
because they stink. We stink.
Everybody was bagging on him last year, though, Mike.
Hurt.
Everybody was saying the same thing, though, until he went on the run. Oh, Carson Wentz, he stinks. They should have never let go of Nick Foles. And then he carried the team, and nobody could say anything because they were like, whoa, he is the team. So I think that was answered already. He's not Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers is established as one of the 3 or 4 or 5 greatest quarterbacks in the history of football if he just walks away right now. So that's a different scenario there. And their team is a lot better than Philadelphia, as we know. So that's where I just don't necessarily agree with that pick. Now, you're right. Carson Wentz, can he embrace pressure, the city of Philadelphia and all that? Definitely. You know me. Remember a few weeks ago, it bothered me that he had no idea that Doc Rivers was fired by the Philadelphia 76ers. It's one thing to shut out the noise. It's another thing to live under a rock. I would tell Carson Wentz that, hey, man, embrace Philadelphia. Yeah, you suck. Tell them you suck and blah, blah, blah. And so what? Who cares? Keep fighting. They'll respect you at the end of the day. But the fact that he's closed the world out and is kind of oblivious too, I don't think that necessarily is the right way either. We see other franchise quarterbacks where, they tell you, hey, I try to block out the noise, but they listen to a good amount of noise to still know and motivate themselves and know what the talk is out there about their football team. that is one little aspect that bothers me. And, I mean, maybe you're right, Mike. Maybe you're right about that aspect. We're going to see how he handles this situation. I'm just saying they didn't help it with that second-round pick and adding more pressure onto it with Jalen Hurts, who came from Oklahoma, and everybody just sees them win, and they just go, oh, he must be great. And, that's not necessarily the case.
I'm still confused whether Doc Rivers was fired or hired. I've shut out the NBA so much.
Well, yeah, I know you don't. You don't have to. He was hired.
J.
He was hired. No,
right.
He was hired. But yes, okay. But you got my point.
Here's something that Shireen Williams and I kind of tripped over last night as we were talking about it, and I am ashamed and chagrined that I didn't think of this sooner, because when I look at the Carson Wentz situation, I look at his contract, $25 million in total compensation next year. No one wants him. He stinks right now. Who wants him? Who's going to take that obligation on with another $15 million that becomes fully guaranteed the third day of the 2021 league year? So you've got a thin window there to dump him if you want to dump him before you get that extra financial commitment on top of it. And then it finally dawned on me. Who was his offensive coordinator the year that he was on track to be the MVP? And what do the Colts have at quarterback for next year? Currently, they have nothing at quarterback for next year. Philip Rivers signed a 1-year, wait for it, $25 million contract. So Philip Rivers, a year ago, this would have been a no-brainer. In March, if you say to the Colts, you can have Philip Rivers for $25 million, or you can have Carson Wentz for $25 million.
Oh, what? Yeah.
99.9999% of the population, and that's pretty much everyone except Philip Rivers' wife and kids, would have said
a big part of the population.
Carson Wentz. Right. Okay, maybe 99.99. But they would have all said Carson Wentz, right?
Yes.
And so and people are, oh, it's crazy. Is it crazy?
I don't think
Frank
it's that
Reich
crazy.
knows. And here's the other way to look at it. If the Colts aren't interested, then no one else should be. If Frank Reich's not interested, no one else should be, because Reich knows him better than anyone else.
Yeah, I would be shocked if Frank Reich doesn't like him. I mean, I remember talking to Frank Reich early in Carson Wentz's career, the draft process, all that. He was a huge fan of him. I think it's a very real possibility. It's a great job by Shireen connecting the dots there and thinking that far ahead, because I could see that happening. I really could. And who knows? I mean, I guess we're going to see how this plays out here, as far as this last week of football. But, I mean, if Jalen Hurts just plays okay and they win a game and, win a game, maybe two, I don't know, and it doesn't even have to look good, but they just win, I mean, Philadelphia is going to be in some spot here. I mean, I don't know where they go or what they do, because also Jalen Hurts, I don't think is ready to be a everyday NFL every game starter quite yet. I don't. There were some good things he did last week, but there's some other issues there too. So Philly is in quite the predicament, and I think we're going to get a lot of answers here in December.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.